What is going on, collectors? Optical 20 back for another video review. Today we're gonna take a look at Andrew Garfield Amazing Spider-Man. They didn't even put two because technically this is two. Amazing Spider-Man, he has a different suit. But we all know this is from No Way Home. They probably just used the same license so they don't have to pay again. But yeah, you can, you know what? It's sold out right now, but keep an eye. I'll put the link down below because they do go back every once in a while at Big Bad Toy Store. So I'll put the link down below. But let's take a look at the packaging. Really good. Let's unbox this bad boy right here. I did have the Amazing Spider-Man 2 back in the day. One of actually my more favorable videos in terms of views and whatnot. Spider-Man always does good. But particularly this, I'm a fan of Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, so I don't mind having him. I sold mine a while back, the Amazing Spider-Man 2. That has issues. Primarily what bothered me was on the top of his mask, where you'll see the glue seam line. It kind of darkened on me. Not too bad, but noticeable. So I did let go of that in hopes. Well, I was sure that we're gonna have this figure sooner or later, so I sold mine maybe a year and a half ago perhaps. And long and behold, we have now the updated Amazing Spider-Man 2 from, let's just say, No Way Home. And honestly, it feels the same. It does feel the same. It has some improvements to it, but just holding it right off the bat, right in hand, it feels like I'm holding my older figure, and that is not necessarily a good thing. You got the head sculpt of Andrew Garfield, which is a plus because we didn't get that from Spider-Man 2. We got the empty mask and the usual suspects here of web shooting, webs and whatnot. You got the standard base, because you could buy a more deluxe base with lizard on it, and this is an array of hands. Let's just focus on this one right away. Back then, Amazing Spider-Man 2, they implemented this magnet hands. Wasn't really well executed because there's always a gap, but I did appreciate the effort to avoid the seam line on the wrist. It just wasn't a good fit. So here we've seen this before, where you can replace, kind of like the web shooter on his like web slinging hand, the pointy hand for the meme, and some peace sign here. It looks really good. Again, you got more than enough hands to go around here. I would call this the web crawling hand. And you got the empty mask, which matches the suit perfectly. You got some webs in here and the usual suspects of webs. This is kind of like he's pulling somebody in. You got some shooter webs, swinging webs, and the other one does have the handle. So you got that for display options or photography. Now we also do have an Andrew Garfield head sculpt. Pretty good paint application, but we're gonna focus more on that later on the review on the head sculpt section. And now you get this Amazing Spider-Man 2 stand, which doesn't have No Way Home branding on it as usual. And now we take a look at the figure, the body in the suit. So one thing off the bat, the problem with my older one is on the shin area, just right below the knee, it always pops off. It doesn't have this problem here. Different, I would say, way, and I'll show that to you in the articulation section. But yes, overall it feels the same. The proportion, somebody put it side by side. This supposedly has better proportions. It still doesn't feel that way. It doesn't give you that upgrade that I felt with Black Panther. With Black Panther, the original suit, it feels more heroic. It looks like the proportion on the arms, the shoulders are more pronounced, is more different than what we had in Civil War. Considering the age gap between Civil War and the original suit is shorter than what we had with Amazing Spider-Man 2 in here. In here, there is some, and I get that Andrew Garfield is not really this massive dude, kind of like Black Panther, where he has big back, wide shoulders, and all. He's more of a taller, lanky, even though he's not that tall. Frame. His frame is more of like a longer frame, but it just he looks thin on the side, no shoulders whatsoever, and he just looks like, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of it. Let's just put it this way. The suit itself, it's stretchy. It feels the same suit as 7-8 years ago. Not necessarily a bad thing. It's stretchable. It kind of heals back, so I don't mind that whatsoever. Now let's focus on the head sculpt. So let's start off with the masked head first. First and foremost, the biggest improvement is on the top of the head. You don't see the seam anymore where they saw it. That's where they used to put the seam line. You don't see that, which is a good thing. Hopefully they got rid of that glue, which turns yellow over time and it stains the top of the head. It kind of bleeds through the fabric. Hopefully that's gone and they learned from their lesson. It was rampant on everyone. You can see the seam line now right there on the back, right on the line, which is a good one because you can't see it, especially if you're looking from up front. The web pattern just matches up nicely through the body. The connector, I'm not a big fan of because you'll see it when you have it. You don't pop it off, it easily comes off, but there is a separate joint between the neck and the head sculpt. So you could still move this around even though it seems like it's one piece between the mask and the neck area. So that is possible. Now let's take a look at this Andrew Garfield head sculpt, which is kind of controversial. And the paint application, I would say overall, is an improvement from the Amazing Spider-Man 1. And I'll reference 1 because 2 didn't come with 1. Although you saw the transition there, not really the smoothest because it's not spot on. It's not 100% spot on, and very rare does any figure is. You see the seam line on the side of the neck. It's serviceable. I'll say this. I would say I'll give this a little bit more points than the Black Panther one. It's not horrible, but it's also not the quality that we have expected lately, because lately we've seen Sabine and lately Electro. He's not quite on that level, although he's not quite bad as well. Perhaps the likeness would have helped more if we could control the eyes, because he has that dead look into him. I'm not even sure if he's looking on the right going up, or I'm confused as you guys are. Now he's a bit younger here because technically this is Amazing Spider-Man 2, but we all bought this because of No Way Home. And let's take a look at the articulation here. Let's start off with the head. You can see that how easily it pops off, and it has that and this happened this is not the first time. It happened before. So when you're moving the neck, you might want to connect this, or maybe not. Just put this aside here and then you can have him look up and down. So everything's ratcheted. So it is ratcheting right now. You're not gonna hear it, but it's ratcheted joints going to the side and forward. You see it's bunching up on that area, so you might want to be careful if you are displaying him like this for a long period of time, although I would think it would heal because the red part is actually a fabric. However, the webbings are embossed, so you might damage them over time. Now surprisingly, I'm surprised that the body is also ratcheted, so you can actually hear it. You see him popping on and off here, so it would hold a pose. It's just a little scary if you're doing so. The legs are ratcheted as well. It could go pretty high up. You see the threads here. There's no toe articulation, even though there is an ankle articulation. It might popped off while doing this, as you can see, but you can pop it on again. Pretty nice double jointed knee. And again, everything else is ratcheted. It's Spider-Man, so hopefully that helps with your posing needs. looking on the back here. But yeah, the material of the suit as well kind of conforms with the articulation that they're doing. So let's put some poses in here before we wrap this thing up. So as you see here, he's kind of jumping in the air, on a snowy day in New York, doing his web thing. It is nice. Overall, I'm happy that he is in my collection, because I had no problems with the previous Amazing Spider-Man either. I could have kept that. But I was, kind of like hoping for a nice improvement here. It's still nice. As you can see here, there's some poses that you could pull off, and him throwing the peace sign here. The head sculpt is not terrible whatsoever. It is very usable. I'm just not a massive fan of it, but it is very usable. I'm just putting it out there. Not bad whatsoever. Lacking some expression, like I said, on the eyes, but you can clearly see that this is Andrew Garfield in the suit. And I like the fact that the neck is showing as well. Here he is being chased by Sandman and Electro. I cannot wait till I complete this lineup. Doc Ock I know has been released, so as Electro, so I'm really looking forward to those figures. Lizard is going to be a part of the base that I bought, and Sandman, I'm going to pick them up as well. But yeah, and then we still have Goblin left, so that's going to be pretty sweet. But yeah, this is the pose that I got, and there you go, guys. Is he a worthy addition to your collection? Well, if you're a fan of Spider-Man or Amazing Spider-Man 2, you don't have much of an option. If you're a fan of No Way Home, same thing. It's very iconic, that scene that you see them, all three of them together. I want to recreate that. I love the movie, so it was a no-brainer for me. I have to get this figure. I sold mine a while back. Didn't really regret it. It wasn't the upgrade that I was hoping to be. I'm a bit disappointed, I'm not gonna lie, but it's also not gonna stop me from enjoying the figure. Did I feel like I got my money's worth? In terms of value of what I thought I would get, not necessarily, but the joy it brings to me, because I do have a figure that I wanted in my collection. You can't replace that. So yes, it has its shortcomings. It didn't particularly met my expectations, but I'm okay with it. I'm totally fine. This is not a terrible figure. It's actually pretty darn good. It's just not the level that we're used to right now. But don't let that hold you back in trying to acquire this figure. This one is pretty hard to find nowadays. Pretty much sold out anywhere. If I missed out, would I pay a premium? Probably not. So I'm still pretty lucky that I got one. I know he came back at Big Bad not too long ago, so I would keep an eye on him. Like, if you are a subscriber to my channel, just keep an eye on that, because I do put like random things that I find at Big Bad, like this Black Panther, and some random stuff. I think a year ago I found some Predators. So, but yeah, again, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel.